Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Liz Michelle Ikoha and I'll be taking you through the National Assembly in Kenya. Stay tuned. So in this chapter, I'll talk to you about the historical background of the National Assembly, and then afterwards I'll talk to you about the structure of the National Assembly. Then afterwards I'll also talk to you about the roles and the functions of the National Assembly in Kenya. Then I'll afterwards talk to you about how the members of the National Assembly in Kenya are elected. So to start with, I'll talk about the historical background of the National of Kenya. So the authority to make laws in Kenya is primarily vested in two institutions, that is the Parliament and the county assemblies. So the Parliament is able to enact laws that apply nationally, while the county assembly can only make laws that apply in a specific county, a respective county. So that means a parliament can enact a law that will affect the whole country. That will affect the whole country. Unlike the county assembly will only can make a law that will only affect a specific county or a respective county. So Kenya has changed from bicameral with regional assemblies at independence to unicameral, and then back to bicameral with county assemblies as the situation currently obtains. So with that, we have the basic knowledge of historical background of the National Assembly in Kenya. So with that, I'll go straight to the structure of the National Assembly. So the National Assembly in Kenya has a unique structure, which I'll talk to you about. I'll start with telling you how many seats we have in the National Assembly. So we have 349 seats in the National Assembly of Kenya. So in the 349 seats, we add one seat of the Speaker. So we basically have 350 seats of the National Assembly members in Kenya. So of the 349 members of the National Assembly of Kenya, 290 members of any gender are elected directly from each county. Just 290 of any gender and 290 members of any gender are elected directly from each county, and 12 of the representatives of the special interest 12 representatives of special interest. So in the 349 members of the National Assembly, we have 290 members of any gender that are directly elected from each county. And so we have also 12 other more nominated representatives of special interests, and are also nominated by parties based on the number of the seats they control in the body. So with that, I'll also talk to you about the functions of the National Assembly in Kenya. So through its debates, the adjournment motion, the question hours, and standing committees, the National Assembly in Kenya is helping us check over the executive and ensures that the government functions within the parameters set out in the Constitution and does not violate the fundamental rights of the citizens. So with that, I'll also go straight to the roles of the National Assembly. So basically, in Article 95 of the Kenyan Constitution, that says that it states that the following shall be the roles of the National Assembly. So I'll take you through the roles of the National Assembly one by one, and I'll start with the major one that says the National Assembly represents the people of the constituencies and special interests in the National Assembly. And it also says the National Assembly deliberates on and resolves issues of concern to the people, the citizens, that is. The National Assembly also enacts legislation in accordance with Part 4 of this chapter 95, that is. So the National Assembly also determines the allocation of national revenue between the levels of government as provided in Part 4 of Chapter 12. And it also appropriates funds of expenditure by the national government and other national state organs. And also it exercises oversight over national revenue and its expenditure. So the National Assembly also reviews the conducting office of the president, the deputy president, and the officers in the state officers, I mean, and initiates the process of removing them from the office. So we see that the National Assembly also has the mandate to enact the laws of removing the president, the deputy president, and the state officers from the office. So it also exercises oversight of state organs well, and it also approves declarations of war and extensions of state of emergency. So we see that the National Assembly also declares state of emergency, declares war, and declares a state of emergency. So for instance, maybe if our Kenyan president dies, God forbid, I'm not saying that the Kenyan president will die, we will have the Speaker of the National Assembly, who is Justin Muturi, who will take over the country and rule the country for 60 days before we come up to an agreement of maybe doing an election. So the authority to make laws in Kenya is primarily vested in two institutions, that is Parliament and county assemblies. Parliament makes laws that apply nationally, while county assemblies make laws that apply in a respective county. So that is what the establishment and the structure of the National Assembly looks like. I also talk to you about the functions, and also talk to you about the roles. So basically that's the major part of the National Assembly, but then I'll also take you through about how the members of the National Assembly are elected. So basically this is how the members of the National Assembly are elected. So citizens vote for a group of electors, then thereby this group of electors who are voted in by the citizens, they in turn choose the assembly. And so it comes up that not all citizens, however, have the right to vote in the members of the National Assembly. So for you to qualify as an elector and then as a member of a National Assembly, one had to belong to the highest bracket of taxpayers. And if you belong to the highest bracket of taxpayers, then you are termed as an active citizen. So with that, you are able to qualify as an elector, and then afterwards as a member of the National Assembly. So with that, I think I've taken you through the roles, functions, the historical background, and I also talked to you about the structure of the National Assembly in Kenya. And before I forget, I'll also talk to you. Let me tell you the current Speaker of the National Assembly in Kenya. So the current Speaker of the National Assembly in Kenya is called Justin Muturi from Jubilee Party, and he also has his deputy speaker, who is Moses Cheboi, and there is also a current clerk in the National Assembly of Kenya by the name Michael R. Sialoi. So maybe just to brush through the roles of the article, the National Assembly. Article 95, the National Assembly, we say it represents the people of their constituencies and special interests in the National Assembly. And it also enacts legislation in accordance with Part 4 of the chapter. And also it exercises oversight over national revenue and its expenditure. So the National Assembly also reviews the conducting office of the President, the Deputy President, and the state officers that ensures the process of removing them from the from the office. So basically, that is at least for now, we are knowledgeable about the National Assembly, and we can able to tell who is the current speaker of the National Assembly. We can be able to tell about the current deputy speaker of the National Assembly, and we also can be able to tell about the current clerk of the National Assembly. So with that, I think I'll leave you with that. Maybe I have to brush through about the establishment of the National Assembly. So about the establishment of the National Assembly, Article 95 of the Constitution establishes that the National Assembly shall consist of the following. So I said 290 members, each elected by the registered voters of single member constituency. Then we also have 47 women, each elected by the registered votes of the counties, each county constituting a single member constituency. Then we also have to have 12 members nominated by parliamentary political parties according to their proportion of members of their National Assembly in accordance with Article 19 to represent special interests, including the youths, persons with disabilities, and of course the workers. Yeah, so with that, I think we are I think I can say we are knowledgeable about the National Assembly in Kenya, and in case there's a question about that, at least you can get to mention the roles of the National Assembly. You can get to mention the functions of the National Assembly. You can get to give the historical background of the National Assembly in Kenya and the structure of the National Assembly in Kenya, and how the members of the National Assembly in Kenya are elected. Thank you so much for listening. Till we meet next time.